Good evening. So I'll do one last video of the day. It's about, I can see this now these clocks are 6 minutes apart. 10:10 and 10:16. Somewhere around that, I guess. I think it's closer to 10:16 because that microwave clock is drifting back. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. It wasn't cheap, so I would have thought the clock would be better, but somehow the way it's been made doesn't keep the time, drifts back. A bit like I've done sometimes, drift backwards. So yeah, I thought I would don't know, what am I talking about? Quite tired, just a few things maybe. I age restricted the most popular video. I've left comments on though. I think it will get less views if it's age restricted, so it will get less comments anyway. It's not a good example to set for how a skillful way of talking to anyone. I mean, I know a lot of the reason why it happened. It doesn't excuse it. I know that it triggered PTSD, etc. But I also know that I learned something from it, but going forward, there's no real, ultimately it's not a good thing to speak to anyone like that, even if it can feel annoying with the cold callers. It's not worth it. I think all of that really I can't see with what's going on at the moment. I can't see really much cold callers happening. I think there's really an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, and people are probably afraid to approach each other because of these riots. I mean, that's not a good thing, but I mean, every situation, can be potentially transformative. You could say, like, there's an opportunity for us as a country to come together, all races, all religions. Because the thing is, what I realize is now is I see so many connections between different religions and different races. And I had a therapist who used to tell me that, and I didn't really take him seriously when he used to say that. I thought when he said that, and he spoke about the connection between there's similarities between all of them, I interpret it as him saying, it doesn't matter which one you go along with because it's all nonsense. But that wasn't what he meant. But maybe that's how I felt at times. Like, I can't, what I've often struggled for so long, like, what is truth? Like, what is the truth? The ultimate truth of how people should behave, how we should speak. For ages, I was in two minds about that because I couldn't. And he also said that he doesn't believe in cause and effect. And I suppose you can believe in cause and effect, you can believe in karma, and then I always go on different subjects, don't I? But maybe all these things are linked. But yeah, I was going to say about similarity. See, I lose track because it always goes, when I'm about to speak one thing, it goes on something else. What I was going to say is similarities between different religions. Like, I swear, like, so in the story of the Buddha, his mother died when he was 8 years old. And I mean, there may not even be a connection here, but I know that in religions there definitely are connections with different things. I mean, Jews and Muslims are both circumcised, and Jews are circumcised when the baby, I think, is 8 days old, and then Buddha's mother died at when he was 8 years old. And I think about the symbolic kind of element of it, where there's a separation in both cases. Like, there's the separation of the foreskin being removed as like a covenant, as a symbol, as a sign, as a mark, as it's called in the Bible. And then there's in Buddhism, there's the separation, the mother dying, but doesn't necessarily have. I don't know whether it was literal or not. I don't know enough about Buddhist texts to speculate whether his mother did die at 8 years old. So I wouldn't want to say either way. But if we were to look at it symbolically for a moment and think, well, that's also, you could say that the symbolic meaning could be that the separation of birth. Also, birth is separation. So the mother died on the 8th day. I mean, there are many different ways to look at it. You could look at it like the mother, during circumcision on the 8th day, the mother has to witness something potentially traumatic. So in a sense, she could die inside, you could say. And it would make sense in a way, even though maybe I'm linking things all over the place here, but in my unusual mind, it kind of has a bit, because when I spoke to people on Buddhist communities, they generally, I don't know them that well, but from what I've spoken, so I don't want to misrepresent, but I get the vibe that they're really generally not keen on the idea of circumcision. It's considered mutilation outside of the cultures that do circumcise Jews and Muslims, and I think some black communities, and I know the royal family. There's probably more, and I don't know, certain Christians, certain sects of Christians are circumcised, but I don't know enough about it, so I'm just kind of roughly thinking about it, if that makes any sense. I don't want to misrepresent anyone, but what was I going to say? Like the circumcision in Buddhism, if it was in Buddhism, would be like the mother. A Buddhist community would be like the mother dying inside, seeing that on the 8th day. But in Judaism, it's done on the 8th day as also separation, in the sense of separating from having a mark that symbolizes the difference between a covenant between the Jews and God, a mark that shows that they've made this sacrifice, which is symbolic in the sense of cutting down part of yourself, so something new can take its place. So a new path can be forged by removing part of yourself. And as the mother dying symbolically could be the mother in the sense of the protectiveness, the stiflingness, or the potentially useful but sometimes hindering traits of a typical mother. And in the case of the Buddha, the 8th day, so maybe he was, well, we know he was very spiritually advanced. So if he was very spiritually advanced, which he was, then could argue that he had an earlier separation, in the sense of him seeing himself as separate, seeing his mind as his own, which is what I'm trying to do now, is trying to separate and recognize my emotions are separate from other people's and not get caught up with it being transferred onto me or projecting or being projected on, and all of this kind of psychological kind of shit that goes on between people, trying to kind of break out of that. I guess you call it the outer tangle. But sort out the inner tangle, the outer tangle, take care of itself. I'm getting really tired now, so I'm gonna go to sleep.